Is it going to be a simple case of same shit, different year for Blackburn Rovers? And yet again, we failed to beat Stoke. This time at Ewood Park. But is time really running out for Tony Mowbray? We'll take a little look next. Folks, back once again with another match review. This time looking back at Blackburn Rovers' last match out in the old championship, and of course we'll get to that in just 1 second. If you're new to the channel, stop what you're doing, swallow what you're doing, and subscribe. Of course, we're banging up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, championship related. Whoa, football, what are we going to do here? Underwater, that's right, of course. Yes, another little shit show from Rovers, but fortunately we did manage to get something out of this in a 1-1 draw up against Stoke. Now we'll talk about that in a minute. Of course, we'll have a big shout out to the patrons supporting the channel behind the bloody scenes. I do appreciate it, guys. I do appreciate the guys that stopped by for the watch along. It was much better watching that in company than it was watching it on your own, because it was frustration levels to the absolute tip of the top. There was nothing I could take out of this. You'll see it in my match ratings in a minute, just how shambolic Rovers were today. But fortunately, we didn't lose. Goodness gracious me. So we're going to get the positives out of the way. We are still unbeaten in the league in 2021. But guess what? We're probably further back in our chase for that top 6 spot than we were at the start of the day. But anyway, of course, the league table's there. We'll take a close look at that in a minute. Of course, and the team news scrolling at the top. But let's get into it. So here we go. Here's the tail of the tape here, folks. 1-1 in the end. First and foremost, Nick Powell did get up the scoring for Stoke. Again, he did the same thing he did at the Bet365 just about a month ago, and Stoke City beat Rovers on their own turf. However, fortunately for us, Rovers did manage to get themselves back into it through the substitute John Buckley coming on, which, a fair play to Mowbray. Made the changes. Everybody was in shock and disbelief when that got pulled, and on stepped John Buckley and thought, you know what, that's the 3 points out the window. But no, John Buckley was there in that little danger zone that Dag would usually occupy, but Buckley was there at the right time and did put the ball in the back of the net to give us a share of the spoils. And then up stepped James Chester, aka Charlie Chester, got himself sent off, and that really opened up the door for Rovers. But guess what, we were just toothless enough. We were too toothless today, and we absolutely got nothing out of it. And if you actually look at the stats, it's pretty much, I can't believe what I'm looking at. Can't believe what we're looking at. Stoke with 14 shots for themselves. At Ewood, Rovers with a piss poor 7. Usually the case is kind of the roles were switched. But we had all the possession, but guess what? We weren't creating the chances today, and that was not, it was just, in all honesty, Tony Mowbray, Blackburn Rovers, all the guys that took part today, it was not good enough. Absolutely disgusting. It's probably top 5 of the worst performances I've seen in Rovers in the past 5 years. I would say that. One of the worst, but we got a point. We got a point out of it. I don't know if Rovers were that bad, or Stoke played that well, or that conservative, or they were that elegant in their defensive display that it made us look bad. I don't know. I could not get anything out of it. We did have more possession than they did, 55% compared to their 45. But the shots on target stat is absolutely shocking. We are usually, if not one of the top 2 or 3 teams that have most shots per day, but today was not our day. And when you see the starting lineups, pretty much, that is, on paper, our best 11. At Ewood Park, folks, the best 11 at Ewood Park. And we can only muster a fluky 1-1 draw. Stoke with a better side. There's no question about this. It's not like it was a fair result. I think we were lucky. We are so lucky that we got a point out of this. And we are so lucky that we didn't lose this game. Because Stoke got their goal and they were efficient. And I'm not saying... It wasn't the Stoke that we saw about a month ago, where they sat back and decided to take the heat. They were on us. They were on us from the moment go, and of course we couldn't handle it. We could not handle it. Maybe we weren't expecting it, but guess what? You've got to expect the unexpected out in the Championship. Let's take a look at some more stats and figures in for you. Here are the 11s, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. They went for a 3-4 or 3-5-2, and again, look at that. Look at this. You'll see it again in bigger. They haven't really got a recognised striker up there. They have not got a recognised striker up there, but guess what? They got a goal. Of course, 14 shots for them, 7 for us. Pass success rate, Rovers were better with that, 78% to their 73. They had more dribbles than we did. We had more aerial duels, 1, which was good. Again, corners, set pieces, their cup of tea, and guess what? Their goal did come from a corner. Young Tomo, I think, was on the corner duties. Powell's there, scrappy dappy do, got the ball in the back of the net, and guess what? I build this as Dak versus Powell once again, and I think Powell outshone Dak today, because we're not getting the real Dak. We're getting a 60% Dak at the moment. He looked like he was running around like a headless chicken for a little bit for the most of the game. But yeah, it was too little too late. Of course, Buckley coming on, scoring a scrappy dappy do goal, which is better than nothing. We did have the ball in the back of net through Armstrong. It was maybe a dubious offside call. I've not really seen the replays. But to be honest with you, too little too late. Where are my starting 11s? I'll take a look at the starting 11s in a minute. I'm in my match ratings. Of course, these are the shot grid here, and we are the orange. They are the blue. A couple of little long-range bad boys by Stoke. We had 638 touches to their 553. We had more passes as well, 448 to their 362. And as you see down here, you can see where the shots took place. The woodwork was hit. Stoke did hit the bar. That's right. They were so close to that elusive second goal. Kicking off further then, let's take a look at the heat maps in just a second here. Yeah, the heat maps, as you see, we had all the ball, all the gear, no idea I was doing it. All the gear, no idea. Up and down, left and right. But in the middle was Devat. We were starving in the middle. We could not get the ball up the middle. Of course, Nyambe saw a lot of the possession, and you will see that because of my match rating, because he was probably my standout today. Branthwaite was, of course, got overshadowed today. His debut got overshadowed by our piss poor performance. Stoke with, of course, a sparse heat map. But guess what? They did what they came to do. They got the ball in the back of the net, and of course they were happy with that. And they were very unlucky not to get more than just the one goal. And I think the sending off was I think if it was 11 against 11 in that final 10 minutes, I think we probably would have walked away with nothing. So fair dues. Here are those illustrious start 11s. Of course, Kaminsky was between six, Douglas at left back, Nyambe at right back, Lenihan and Branthwaite, of course, coming in. Youngster from Everton, they completed this week. Travis, Johnson and Rothwell in a three-man midfield. That's very good-looking midfield on when all is well and good. Armstrong, Dak and Elliott up top. Now that is perfection when you look at it on paper. But guess what? It didn't work like perfection. It did not. Of course, Douglas on the left. We brought him in here for whatever reason. Realistically, his experience and nous and knowledge of the game should be a Brucey bonus. But he's not showing it. He's not showing it. And Nyambe on the right was good. He did what we want to do. If we could clone Nyambe and give him a left foot, we would be sorted. Absolutely sorted. But anyway, set pieces, yet again, diabolical. Short corners. Knock it on the head, please. Knock it on the head. I don't know why. We've got tall Darrell Lenihan. We've got tall young Branthwaite there as well. Johnson going to hit a rifle from distance. Why aren't we optimising the height? And then I think in the second half, we had Gallagher up top. Another gap. In fact, he was only a bit part player. Brereton as well. Another tall player that can put the ball in the back of the net with a set piece from a header and things like that. So on paper, this is your best 11, as good as it gets. But today they did not play like that. Maybe it was playing Dak out a square peg in a round hole as a false 9. I don't know. But anyway, let's take a look at my match ratings for all these players. Kaminsky with a 6, Douglas with a 5, Lenihan with a 6, Branthwaite, I'm being nice to you, giving you a 6. You were decent, you weren't bad, and I think you looked the part. You were scruffy. You showed that your desire was there, which is of course better than the other loanees have done in the past. Nyambe with a 7. Again, he doesn't get much lower than a 7, no matter what he can play. His shit game today was pretty good compared to everyone else's standards. Travis with a 6, Rothman with a 4. He was substituted at half-time. Johnson also substituted at half-time, and with a 5. Again, he didn't do too much, and might be been a bit generous with him. Armstrong with a 5. I think it was diabolical, as was Dak, and Elliott also with a 5. To be honest with you, I didn't really see anything out of those 3 to get excited about it. So a pretty shit show from Rovers. Attacking wise, we were lucky that our defence was there, and only a couple of standout performances for you. Take a look at the opposition then. Nick Powell between 6 there. Chester, who did get himself sent off. Suter and Collins made up a back 3, with Brown and Norton Davison as your fullbacks. That was my take on it. Matando and Powell up top with a 3-man midfield of Alan Thompson and John Obi Mikel. So ultimately, Stoke had the better of us from the get-go. But is it all doom and gloom for Tony Mowbray? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think Waggett will get rid of him. He is the man pulling the strings behind the scenes. If there's ever going to be a call made, it will be made by Stevie Waggett, and I don't think he's going to get rid of Tony Mowbray anything just yet. My personal call on the matter, I don't think there should be anything done right here, right now. I think Our best intention would be to keep Mowbray and ride it out and see if we can get in the top 6 via that. I don't think we will get in the top 6, and I don't think changing the manager right here, right now, will get us into the top 6. That is my ultimate thing. I think you put your faith in Tony and see what happens, and if he fails to get top 6 or even get, and I'm not talking top 6 and getting promotion. I'm just talking top 6 and getting in the playoffs and having a crack at the playoffs. That's all I'm asking for. So, this is his 3rd crack at it, at the championship with Rovers. It's basically 3rd strike, and I think you're out. I think if you don't get it done today, you've done as best as you can do. We've tried your approach. It started off very nicely this season, but it's all falling at the wayside. Anyway, that's what I've had to say. What does the man himself have to say? Here's Tony Mowbray with his thoughts and opinions about that match.
Oh, it would have been harsh on them, I think, if we'd have took all 3 points. I think Stoke came and did a good, played a good game today. I think, their experienced footballers looked pretty composed out there. Joe Allen and Obi Mikel looked like they knew what they were doing with the ball, and they moved it around the pitch all right for them. Either of them players played a month ago or so when we played them, I think. And you can see what Stoke are about with the quality they possess. I think we put the point in the bag and move on. I think 15 minutes at the end, of course, against 10 men. You're hoping that with the pressure that we had, because they didn't really threaten us in that spell, they were just hanging on. Oh, did we get into enough good positions to score another one? We had something flashing across the 6-yard box, which the keeper smothered. He might have parried it and it might have been stuck in. But not too much really, where we were going to score another. I think we huffed and puffed a little bit. But I give them some credit today for the way they came and performed. Well, I thought we deserved the equalising goal. I thought 10 minutes before that we really started putting the foot on the gas, to be honest. I think the second bout of changes really increased the intensity level of the team for whatever reason. I've talked about Travis and Dak have to get up to speed. They're 60-70%. They're not where they need to be for this team at this moment, and yet if I don't give them game time, they ain't getting up to speed, because there's not enough between the games, enough training time really. So it's a balance of trying to keep the intensity of the team up when you've got a couple of players who are not where they need to be for the team, or do I just bin them completely, don't think about using Dak or Travis, and just keep going with the players I feel have got the most energy. It's my view at this moment is to try and get them up to speed, because I think sod's law of today's game is that we probably needed Dak on after the sending off around the box, something to break, and he would have finished it. And yet the reality was, he came off before the sending off, and they weren't playing everybody behind the ball trying to keep to 1-1. They were making the game a big pitch, and they were stretching us and looking as if they were trying to break away to score again. So I think that's sod's law sometimes. We have to accept that. But Bradley's getting there bit by bit by bit. He had 70 minutes today, which was more than the 60 minutes he had last week. We'll see what we do with him on Tuesday, and then we just keep rolling. I think the coaching staff think that John's best position is like an attacking midfield player really, and he's got amazing ability when you watch him in training to like slalom round bodies. His upper body can shift and he can move the ball really, really well. I told him to go in and threaten the goal really, and play high, and not to worry too much about tracking back, just to stay in them areas. And obviously we got him behind him. I think it was Harvey, he squared it across and John tapped it in. We huffed and puffed for 70 minutes, and then we got that goal. We believed we could win it from that point of view. They had a sending off, and if anything, their sending off made it more difficult, because they put everybody behind the ball really. Took a centre forward off, stuck another centre half in there, played a back 5, which at times was a back 7, and it's really tough to break them down. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but my analysts are saying it was onside. I had a little moan at the fourth official. I think he's written it down in his book that we're not supposed to be commenting on stuff that we can see on a laptop in our dugout area, but we'll wait and see if there's any repercussions. All I was trying to say is they have to get them decisions right. That's, in the Premier League, that's why VAR's in. If he's onside and that's a goal, it's cost us 2 points today. And I know, listen, as football for 150 years is a human error. It's always there. Just, it's frustrating if you score a pretty good goal. That was a brilliant breakaway goal, to be honest, and a brilliant pass and a great goal. For it to ruled off by an incorrect decision would be pretty disappointing. We work hard on set pieces. It's, as I've said, we delegate, and yet sometimes you play against teams just with some bigger players. And I think that was the case today when we were trying to match up who's marking who from set plays. What are we doing? It's we have a combination of zonal and marking, and I was disappointed at half time that the zonal player in the middle of the 6-yard box couldn't affect the cross. Never mind the guy who was marking the boy who scored the goal. It's I think for a few years now we've been pretty decent at stopping set play goals, but that's maybe 3 first contact headers. I think Swansea away scored a goal out of nothing like that, a corner straight in, header, goal. They're so disappointing, all the work that you put into everything you do, and the team doesn't have to try too hard to score just from a set play, stick it in and head it in. It's a frustration, but sometimes you're outpowered and you have to accept it, but we work pretty hard on set play, so it is very disappointing that we lost a goal like we did today. Yeah, very good. I think he keeps it simple. I think he does his job. At 18, sometimes it's difficult against grown men of 28, 29 who've been around a long time playing at top levels and using their bodies against him and holding him off. But generally he did exceptionally well. I think his distribution is good. I think he competed very well. He just looks steady, I think, and I think that's a good balance. Similar to Scotty Wharton, I would suggest that Scotty Wharton is of a similar ilk, sort of steady, does what it says on the tin, doesn't try to do anything dramatic. And this young lad Jared, I think he'll be fine for us alongside Lenihan, just feeding the full-back, feeding the midfield players, turning them round when it's on for Armstrong to run over the top, winning some headers, putting himself in good positions. I thought he did fine.
Meanwhile, what's been said on social media, let's take a little look at it, shall we? Of course, over on Twitter, we had Jason DDB said, worst I've seen us all season, can't keep the ball, confused defending, we looked scared to me. Meanwhile, Lewis Hartley was saying, we can't turn up for the 15-20 minutes a game and expect to get anything from the match. Stoke have clearly been the better side most of the game, and we were unlucky not to win, if we have to be honest. And we were unlucky not to win. I don't know about that. Another very poor performance, nothing to be pleased about. It's time for Moby to go. Adam Lodge said this, take it, deserve nothing, so happy with the point. Davenport has to play more. Adam Tautsuki said this, with this pitch, it appears that we don't necessarily need all of our best footballers in the team. We need players that can scrap. We have to find a way to adapt as the surface won't get any better for the rest of the season. We barely deserve that point. I agree. Ryan Lambert said, people quick to point the finger at Mowbray, but players need to be accountable for poor performances too. Team may have looked good on paper, but the game is played on the grass at the end of the day. Liam said, aka the Houghton, said, terrible again, lucky to get the draw in the end, can't keep waiting until the last 10-15 minutes to wake up and start playing. Steve Reed said this, pathetic again, struggling for points every week, can't remember the last time we won comfortably. Mowbray needs to go, already season finished, mid-table Mowbray strikes again. One Rover said this, why are we only capable of playing football after the 70th minute? Meanwhile, Adam Maltby said, Buckley's goal papers over the cracks really, but look at the stats, just not good enough. Really hasn't been for a while now. For me, needs fresh ideas, different mentality. Slav, Howe, or even Ainsworth. He's one of us. He is one of us. Alex Fenwick said this Davenport should be starting every game. He's pressing energy in midfield. Really makes a difference to our team. Damon Pickup said this awful watch that lack of desire for 75 minutes. Midfield went missing in the first half. Travis needs to stop getting needless yellow cards early on as he is ineffective afterwards. Pitch is an embarrassment and played on better. A black snake in winter. Only positive was Branthwaite. He was okay. He wasn't that great. Phil Thomas said the show character to get back in to it and he made the right changes. However, it's mid-table forever with this manager and the squad, though I'm afraid the squad's fine. The squad is decent. The ownership spewing 20 million per season to sit in the middle of the second tier defies any logic. Wow. Of course, that's what those guys had to say, and we've heard what Mowbray's had to say. But of course, if you've got your own opinions, be sure to get them in the old comment section down below. Let's take a look at what else went on this weekend out in the Championship. Middlesbrough, they lost. This was it. This was the opportunity knocks for Rovers. Middlesbrough weren't in the playoffs, but they were on like 7th spot, and a win for us could have actually got us above them, and we would have been the next best thing. Birmingham picking up the win, so that's kind of like a breath of fresh air in a way. Watford, of course, were in 6th spot. They got the win, and they start to climb the table, of course. Forest big winners over Millwall as well, 3-1. Derby, Wayne Rooney's Derby, suffered a defeat rather than with a big fat W. Preston, of course, lost with the big spending Preston, bringing in Ched Evans, bringing in Malumbe, I think it was. Who else they brought in? Ben Whiteman, of course, decent signing that. But they lost today, 2-0 in the end. Cardiff, scrappy dappy doo, did not get the win out of leaders Norwich. Bournemouth lost to Luton. That was, of course, a surprise. And Swansea took care of business against Barnsley. This is what the table looks like right here, right now, and what we are looking at is 6th spot. We are 7 points adrift with Reading a game in hand. Fortunately, I don't think Reading have got it in the tank to get promoted. You can put that in your you can bookmark that comment then. Watford, I think they're going to be ropey, and I don't think they're going to be up there either. I think that's our best. I think the top 4, as they are, will be the top 2 will be out of that top 4, and then we're going to be scrapping. We're still in contention. If you look at it though, Bristol City, I'm not really impressed with those really. Barnsley, I don't think they'll be up there. Back end of it, Stoke, they cannot be up there with this kind of football. No disrespect, Stoke. Middlesbrough, they'll be there. Reading will fall down. So I think we could still be in the conversation. We've got to keep an eye on Huddersfield. They're a little decent. So I think we are better than the teams below us. Preston may grow in confidence. And there are a couple of teams above us that realistically we should be above. So, yeah, it looks better than I'm anticipating. The gap is big. It's 7 points at the moment. But, after this week, it could be back down to 4. And that's all we got to think about. We've got to think about that. Speaking of next week, take a look at, in fact, let's have a look at the bottom of the table. Wycombe Derby, Rotherham going down. Rotherham has still got a couple of games on. Sheffield Wednesday and QPR above them. Look at what's going on this week. Reading up against Coventry. That's not nailed on. I think Coventry are a decent side. Derby against Bournemouth. Maybe Wayne Rooney's Derby can stop Bournemouth. Rotherham against Stoke, I don't know. Rotherham are difficult. They beat Derby. Watford against Barnsley, that also was tricky. Norwich against Bristol City, should see Norwich coming out on top on that one. Forest against Middlesbrough, that's a difficult one to call as well. So maybe Forest will do us another favour and they will start climbing the tips. QPR against Cardiff, that's a dead rubber right now. Brentford against Luton. Luton are difficult, but I think Brentford will have the better of them one. Huddersfield up against Millwall and Birmingham up against Preston. So if we were to beat Swansea, and that is a big, big old if, and of course if we have a little bit of lady luck with Barnsley beating Watford, who else do we need to beat? And of course Coventry beating Reading. Guess what? It does look a little bit brighter again, but again it's still ifs, ands and buts and maybes, and right here right now I don't know. When we look on it on paper, the players are decent. They're a decent bunch of lads there, but are we playing a formation that doesn't suit them? I don't know. That's something for the Mowbray to figure out. He does get paid the big bucks, and that's it, guys. The footballers do get paid the big bucks. They should be performing. I saw Lewis Hoppy with a sitter and he puts it over the bar. He gets paid, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 grand a week. That's more than I get every couple of months if I'm bloody lucky. But that's it, my friends. Be sure to give the video some love and please smash that thumbs up, smash the subscribe, of course, and of course we'll go again with this one. Early kickoff, I've just realised, for Rovers up against Swansea. So that's a 2 p.m. kickoff on Tuesday. We'll have a preview with that probably tomorrow. It might be late tomorrow, but we'll get it out there for you. But until then, be sure to give the video some love, smash that thumbs up, smash the subscribe, and I'll see you all very, very soon for the next one. But until then, though, happy predicting. Of course, be sure to give the video some love and check out the links down below: Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and again, if you want to become the latest member of the Patreon gang, we have got patreon.com/Roverseas down below there. So make sure to check that bad boy out. But until then, though, I'm out of here. Come on, Buffalo Bills. Let's get the W and let's get through to the next round and make my weekend a little bit more happy. But until then, though, I'm out.